So we got a nice one for y'all today. You got Chef Guru in the building, and you know your boy was in the kitchen cooking. Now I gotta be honest with y'all, a lot of these I got from y'all in my live stream, and y'all came through and your boy made some adjustments, and perfect them Chef Guru style. So I'm about to give y'all the top 3 small forward builds for NBA 2K27. When I'm talking about all-round build that does everything, that got no weaknesses, I got y'all covered. So y'all know what it is by now. Without further ado, I need y'all to grab yourself that brute and let's get to the video.
It's Brutalsim on the scene, wicked and mean. With the next video on this YouTube thing, we got 2K news and rumors. Don't forget the tutorials and tips. Turn your my player to a bad man and rule the sticks. No matter the mode, record the park. Even my career brute will give you a good start. Hit the like button, don't forget the notifications. Comment down below and welcome to the Brute Squad Nation. Yo man, we send one come test.
Alright, so my first build is the two-way inside-out general. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you, this is by far one of my favorite builds so far. I actually went with 6'8", 192 pounds with a 6'9" wingspan. Now, let me show y'all what I'm working with this attribute. Of course, trust me, this build is by far one of the best ones I've created in the past few. I ain't gonna lie, I'm just playing and being a little extra for y'all, but that's neither here nor there. Let's start off, of course, with a 71 close shot, 71 driving layup, and an 89 so I could get those contacts off. One very important for your boy Brute. You know your boy Brute is a rim runner extraordinaire. Now with the standing, I went with 51 and the post control 51 as well. The milli, I went with the 80 and the 88 for the 3-ball with a 70 for the free throw. Very important. Now the reason why I'm going with, look at the playmaking, this build is elite at passing. Going with a 93 on the passing accuracy so I could get bailout on silver, so I could pass out of difficult situation. The ball handler, I went with an 86. I went with an 80 so I could actually unlock pace on silver. Very important badge because this actually helps your speed with ball. Defensively, I went with a solid lineup of attributes. Of course, I went with a 60 to match with the 70 block so I could at least unlock their paint patroller. Very important badge. I went with an 86 on the perimeter defense and a 60 on the steal so I could actually get bronze in the scepter. A very important badge as well. These bang, I went with an 86. I went with an 89 on the offensive end, and on the defensive end, I went with a 61. I didn't really focus on rebounds with this build because it's kind of a point forward type build, by the way. Now with the speed, this build gonna have solid pacing with an 88 on the speed and an 81 on the agility and a 65 on the strength and a 78 on the vert, so you can line up with the driving dunk so I could get the off 2. I got it unlocked, the pro contacts, and off 1s got the pro contact unlocked as well for this build. Now let's take a look at the cap breakers and the potential down the road. Remember, a lot of these badges has already been unlocked, so then you can level them up as you apply these cap breakers with these +1 and +2. When you take a look at the cap breakers, the potential for this build is endless. As time goes on, the build will continue to get better as well. Now takeover wise, you will have airspace available to you, so you will be able to finish at the rim at a consistent rate. Now when it comes to shooting, you will have to stay at the default until you take up the attributes a notch. When it comes to playmaking, you will have Dishmaster, one of my favorite takeovers in any 2K because it definitely gives your teammate a significant boost. You also have Blur available to you as well to help with those blow-bys. So overall, this build will be a really elite playmaking build. Now defensively, you'll have Glue available to you to lock people up. Rebounding wise, you won't have anything outside of the default takeovers. So that's pretty much all I got for the builds. As you see, the badge points in them right here: 8 for finishing, 15 for shooting, 15 for playmaking, 5 for defense, and of course 2 for rebounding and 7 for physical. So that's the first of the 3 builds right there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. How will you rate my first small forward build for NBA 2K27? Now my second build, this is my most prized possession. This is my Kevin Durant build. It's called a paint scoring sharp. I can't even make this up. Y'all see that name? We got Kevin Durant, we got Brandon Ingram, and we got Laurie Markkanen as well. So let's go through and let me show y'all what we're working. I went with a 6'10", 200 pound because you know that Kevin Durant is pretty light. All right, so I gotta go as light as possible. Now I went with a 6'11", wingspan because I still wanted a consistent jumper with this build. Let me show y'all what we're working with when it comes to attribute. Now, this build will be able to have contact dunks off too. So I went with 80 on the close shot, 80 on the driving layup, and an 87 so I could get those contacts, of course, 57 with the standing dunk, and an 86 with the post control. So overall, this build gonna be a great all-around build when it comes to finishing around the basket. When it comes to the shooting is where this build really reigns supreme. The mid-range game gonna be elite with a 90 on the midi, and the three ball gonna be consistent with an 89. The free throw gonna be there as well with a 94, and we're still gonna have 18 of the badge points available to us. Now, when you look at the playmaking, I didn't go too high with the passing accuracy because this is a scoring first build. Passing is secondary once you got this build out there, but I did go with a 78 on the ball handle. I was still able to get pacing with a 72 speed with ball, a very important badge when you're creating your builds. Now, defensively, this build is not a slouch either. I make sure and hit all the key spots that I need to get hit. The interior, I went with the 80, gonna be able to block down the paint. And the perimeter defense, I went with the 84. You can't think you're gonna get your boy out there on an island either. The steals, you know, I always go with minimum. I always try to get bronze in the scepter, very important badge. And the blocks, I went with the 70 to try to line up and get this paint patroller, a very important badge if you're trying to protect the paint as well. Rebounding, I didn't put too much emphasis. I put a little something, unlock a few badges. Offensively, I got 49, which is not a lot, but it still was enough for me to unlock certain badges. Y'all know what it is. And the defensive rebound, I went to the 74, and the defensive rebound, I went with the 74. Now, when you look at the physicals, I try to max it or reach as close to it as much as possible. With the speed, I went with the 82. With the agility, I went with the 78. The strength, I went with the 76. Can't be too strong if you're KD. You're too skinny in the first place. And of course, the 75 for the vert is 6. Now, let's go and take a quick look at the cap breakers and see the potential of this build. As you see, this build got future potential to even become way more elite than it currently is. Now, when it comes to takeover available to you, I will have airspace when it comes to finishing and paint surgeon because of the high post scoring attribute. Now, when it comes to shooting, that artists help me with those dribble pull-ups and the step backs and all that stuff. And of course, collaborate actually helps me with a catch and shoot shot. Now, I don't have any for playmaking, defense, or rebounding outside of the default takeovers. So that's my second build, my 6'10". God, I love that KD build. I ain't gonna lie, I'm definitely gonna make this build. Not day one because I gotta go with my PG first. But once I acquire enough VC, I will be going with that KD. That's a bar. Now, the final build from Chef Guru is the 6'9" two-way inside-out general. And y'all see the names we got up here. Some gods. We got Scottie Pippen, one of the best two-way builds of all time. We got Kawhi Leonard. I ain't gotta say nothing else about that. And last but not least, we got OG Anunoby, a two-time champion. Y'all know what it is. So I went with a 6'9", 185 pounds with a 6'9" wingspan. Now let's go to the attributes, of course. With the close shot, I went with a 72, and the driving layup, I went with a 75. Of course, I went with the 87, which was the max, so I could get contacts off too, which is very important for your boy personally. I went with a 52 on the standing. Remember, I'm trying to get certain badges, of course, and the post control, I went with a 50. Now, when it comes to the shooting, this build is a better shooter than my 6'8" and my 6'10" with a 91 on the three ball. But with the midi, I stuck with an 81. Now, with the free throw, I went with an 80, of course, so I could at least hit consistent. And y'all see, I did cover quite a number of these badges as well. So I actually finished with 16 on the shooting. Now, with playmaking, I went with the elite passing once again, so I could get that bailout on silver, a very important badge. I maxed out the ball handling at an 80, and I went with a 75, so I was still able to acquire the pace on bronze, which is a very important badge for that speed with ball. Again, once I get these max plus ones and twos, I will start to level these things up, so it's going to definitely help significantly. Now, when it comes to defensively, this build is not a slouch either. Now, remember, I don't really go with a lot of steals, so if you want to adjust the builds accordingly, y'all could do that as well. So I went with a 60 on the steal. The interior defense, I went with a 62, and of course a 70 with the block, so I could actually get this paint patroller back. Very important when it comes to stopping people in the paint. Perimeter, I went with an 87, so I could actually get some of the challenger badges, and you know, this ankle brace is very essential, especially how I see people ankles getting snapped up. This is not a badge you want to be without in NBA 2K27. Now, with the rebounding, I went to the 39 for the offensive, and the defensive, I went to the 57. It's not a rebounding focus type build, clearly, but it's still gonna pick up a few here and there. With the speed and agility, I actually maxed it out with an 86 on both. With the strength, I went with a 71. And of course, with the vert, I went with a 75. So I was able to unlock the pro contacts off too once again. Now remember, the cap breakers are good and important cap breakers. Now when you take a look at the cap breaker, you see the potential of the build to keep growing over time, and it does have great potential going forward. So this is a build that will evolve over time for the better across the board. So let's take a look at the available takeovers for this build. I will have airspace, which will allow me to finish above and beyond everybody that's in the paint. Now when it comes to shooting, I do have zip code for those deep consistent threes. And playmaking, I got one of my favorite, which is Dishmaster, which is of course diamond on steroids. Defensively, I was able to get glue to get those quick stops. Now when it comes to rebounding, I gotta rock the default. Again, let me know your thoughts on this build so far in the comment section. So there y'all have it, my top 3 small forward build. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. Now remember, you can make your adjustments accordingly. One thing I hate on my builds is high steals, because I think that's wasted attributes because of my playstyle. I don't reach a lot, to be quite honest with y'all. I just need enough steals so I could get the interceptor bad, so I could get these required animations for me to snatch it out the sky. But aside of that, I'll sacrifice some steals for most of my builds, to be quite honest with y'all. That's an area that I see a lot of y'all might want to adjust it, so y'all just make the adjustments and move accordingly. These builds are put out there as a blueprint, so y'all could actually evolve it over time to make it yours. Don't copy everything for the exact way for me personally, because I create my builds for my benefit to do what I'm strong at. You might have different strengths, so make the adjustments accordingly. So again, let me know your thoughts on my top 3 small forward builds for NBA 2K27. I do have a few more to drop for y'all. Y'all can look forward to that. Y'all know what it is, man. So that's all I got for y'all today. Till next time, have bless and be safe out there. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Notification bell is free and key. Peace.